Welcome to Libtards and Shy. Here, we discuss liberalism and what's stopping its progress, all while drinking way too much Arabic tea, which is called Shy. So, come on in. You know, there's something to be said about, like, people in the Sahel.
The what?
The Sahel.
Sahel?
The Sahel.
Okay. Where's that?
That's like the southern part of the Sahara Desert.
Oh, okay.
That's like starting to turn into the African savanna.
Okay.
So it's like a region where like Mali, Chad.
Okay.
And like I don't know if Niger.
And a bunch of other white people hang out.
Yeah, a bunch of white people. A bunch of French people just there.
Just coincidentally, in the middle of Africa, have the whitest fucking names in the world. Mali and Chad.
Yeah.
In the Saharan, bro.
But you know, there's they drink Shy on like a really hot summer. Like they drink it in the heat.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's bad shit.
And you know, like I don't know if I've ever told you the idea of how like, oh, we drink Shy to acclimate to the, like, you know how that's BS.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the reasoning behind that. But right now, you know, recording in June.
It's not. No.
The Shy business isn't working out for us.
Yeah. You ever thought of iced tea?
Iced tea?
Iced tea. Yeah, like tea with ice in it. You know, so it's like
I'm not
cooling.
a slave owner. No, man. Iced tea?
Shit.
That's a man named Johnson. He owns a lot of people.
Shit. How about mint julep for a hot summer's
I
day?
know. Okay, what the hell is julep?
A julep?
Yeah, what is julep? Is it julep or julep?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Regardless, whatever the pronunciation of what is that?
I don't know. Well, mint julep's just a drink. It's
Oh,
like
it's
rum,
just
tonic water, and mint, I want to say.
Oh,
like
so
syrup.
the mint leaf.
I don't know the actual drink. I didn't bother with all the accoutrements, if you will, when I was drinking.
That antebellum
It
pronunciation.
was just gin and water, vodka.
It's just vodka and gin and water.
I would do like gin. I would do like ice, like literally just gin over ice, or like vodka over ice, or whiskey over ice.
And that's the mint julep?
No, that's what I did to.
Oh, that's what you did. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did to drown the thoughts.
I was about to say, this is why the South lost the war. You know?
Yeah, they were shit faced the entire time. No.
So there is kind of, how do I put this? There is kind of this reality or this situation that we're in. How do I put this? People who, so you know, if you go to Home Depot and you have the SP3 ratings for like color.
Yeah.
So anybody above the 500 range,
Okay.
they're like losing their right to vote.
Okay. What are you?
I'm like 380.
380. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're good.
Yes.
I'm fine.
And then like Tilda Swinton is like 0.
I think Tilda Swinton's an alien. Have I told you this theory?
No.
I think she's a scout.
Really?
I think she's a scout for an alien race. She's come here to analyze us, and she just hasn't reported back yet. I think I'm dead serious right now. I'm not even trying to be funny.
God. You know, that explains that
because she
stare
looks
of
like
hers.
a fucking like she's like recording you.
Have you noticed that she like reflects light?
Yeah, and she's like logging for database number 7.
God, so freaky.
Blargon will enjoy
Great
this.
actress though, but freaky as hell.
Whatever. She's freaky.
I guess it's easy to play a ghoul when you look.
She looks like a rapey cat.
All cats are rapey. You want a cat? You want a cat?
Yeah, but it hasn't tried to rape me.
Yeah, it's
then
trying
again,
to rape you.
But its name's not Tilda Swinton.
Yes, exactly.
So,
yeah,
brown people, black people,
Yeah,
losing rights to vote.
Basically, yeah, people of color.
I thought we solved that. I'm sorry. No.
I thought you were fucking with me.
I couldn't even get through that one.
Oh my god. Man, I literally was just like, wait, what?
America? No.
I mean, we're doing a lot better than a lot of other, white countries, I guess. I don't know if America's a white country. I mean,
America's a white country.
It's a white country. Yeah.
It's a white country.
I mean, it's majority white, and it was founded by white people.
Yeah.
But so if you compare it to all the European or the settler colonial states, I mean, sure, we do better than France. Whoa,
it's not saying much.
Good job.
It's not saying much.
No, there's been an inherent problem. For the past 50 something years, basically people of color's access to the ballot has been protected by the Voting Rights Act, which is something that Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement bled in the streets for.
Yeah.
And it was passed in 1965. I'm pretty sure
Him, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers literally died.
Because of, yes, for this. And it has been slowly chipped away. Not by laws, not by constitutional amendments, but by the judiciary. We'll talk about this in another episode, but as a baseline, the conservative legal movement, through simply straight up cheating by denying Obama several federal appointments,
Going strong.
have reoriented the entire legal circuit on the federal level.
It's fairly effective.
Right.
Crazy. It's like
Frighteningly effective.
Frighteningly so.
And they've been filling it with a bunch of late 40-year-old justices who will live forever.
Yeah.
And basically
Kavanaugh, what's that other crazy Catholic bitch?
Kavanaugh, Gorsuch,
Barrett's the crazy Catholic bitch.
they're all crazy Catholics, but she is the nuttiest of them. Coney Barrett is dude. She grew up in a insular Catholic society,
Which is, it sounds like a cult to me, but whatever.
Well, she calls herself hilariously an Orthodox Catholic. Which, what do the Orthodox Christians call themselves then?
I don't know.
I know what she's trying to say. She's trying to say she's an ultra conservative Catholic.
Yeah.
But not the right word choice.
No. It doesn't poll well.
Yeah. But it's not just the Supreme Court. It's the Federal Court of Appeals and the Federal Circuit.
All levels, yeah.
Like they've filled hundreds of seats in just 4 years. I mean, thank God Trump lost.
No, another 4 years of this shit, he would have been crazy. I think Trump appointed
more judges than Obama did in 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're more conservative. They're more conservative than his conservative counterparts, like George Bush Sr., Jr. The judges they have put on the bench are more radical than that.
And keep in mind, they're still judges from those eras.
Dude, there's still judges from the Ford years.
Yeah, there's a Ford one at the top, I want to say.
In the Fifth Circuit, Judge Davis is like 88 years old and was like...
He's like quasi-retired, though. There's a term for that. I forget what it is, but there's like active judges and then retired judges. The retired judges are like a pool. So like, let's say
they're like subs?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
That's what they are. They're like alternates.
And so, I mean, basically there's been 2 Supreme Court cases. One in 2013, and one in really, really recently in 2021, which is mainly Trump's court, But even in 2013, both of these are Robert's court, right? Back then, it was a 5-4 conservative, slim minority. Robert sometimes sided with the Democrats or the liberals. Now it's a 6-3 ultra majority by some of the most... They're not just conservative. I mean, these are the most ultra right-wing conservative legal thinkers in America who are on the courts. And in 2013, there's a court case called Shelby County versus Holder. And it literally said... So the Voting Rights Act basically had specific counties, basically all the South, and then several counties in California, several counties in New York, several counties in Virginia, several counties in a few other states that have historically denied black people the right to vote.
They've been doing some fuck shit for a while.
Exactly. And the federal government said, hey, you know what? You cannot have any kind of regulation over your voting systems in these counties until a federal commission approves them.
You got to check with us first.
You got to check with us that this is legal.
Yeah.
Right? Fair. Hilariously, conservatives have always talked about the federal government encroaching on civil liberties, but in fact, the federal government has been the biggest protector of civil liberties.
Well, you got to understand, Mansoor, from their perspective, civil liberties mean keeping black people away. Right.
Like it's their liberty to not interact with them, right? And so, or more importantly, to not share political power. So
especially that one.
This, I mean, I'm not even kidding here. I'm not even setting up a joke. When I say Shelby County versus Holder, Robert's decision literally said that racism is behind us. And that, in essence, I'm paraphrasing, the South can basically go back to the honor system. Turns out they can't. Boy, they really, wow.
Now
that is the most unsurprising ending. Like, that should be a book called No Fucking Shit. If that's why the author's name is anybody who knows anything about the legal system, you know?
That was that post-Obama glow.
It really was.
Remember when he got elected, we were like, oh, we solved it.
We solved it. It's over.
We're good.
Yeah. Don't worry about...
We got a black man in the White House.
Oh, my God. So, this is one. It basically killed the federal government's ability. It basically killed the teeth of the Voting Rights Act to actually enforce its own laws,
Mm-hmm.
which it didn't overturn the law, but
No.
it's like
Play as you wish.
Yeah,
racist
it's
people.
like you're trying to have a
Yeah.
baby and I cut your balls off. You still got a penis,
Yeah.
but you got no baby.
Yeah.
You know? And so the balls are let's call it the enforcement mechanism
God.
for creating a baby.
Yeah.
You know? So
I'm going to use that line.
you know, this
Suck my enforcement mechanism.
yes.
Fondle my mechanism.
It's the pressure, you know, it creates
Yeah.
the pressure that launches hopefully this semen to its homeland. But you know, this is
The homeland.
the homeland. You know, basically the teeth have been removed, and then in 2021, I mean, this is just batshit.
Second blow.
Abramovich versus the DNC, which is the Democratic National Committee, in which the court overwhelmingly ruled and found that even if voting systems or voting regimes within states have a discriminatory impact, that does not necessarily mean it violates the Voting Rights Act. Basically.
That's like if I kick you in the nuts and I say, that wasn't assault.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
the way it does it is it needs, the only way for it to violate the Voting Rights Act
Yeah.
is that it has to be explicitly racial.
Okay.
So if there is a discriminatory impact, but it's not
okay.
explicitly racial, then it's fine. So
It's
if
like
we
Cosby saying, though, like, oh, I didn't rape her. She was asleep.
right, she was asleep, you know. But it was like
I just get my pudding pop. So she didn't even notice.
she just ate a lot of Jello,
Yeah.
you know. You know, there is, I mean,
Explicit. Yeah, but they've been fucking crafty as fuck
yeah,
coming up with those
exactly. I mean,
ways.
voting when they ban photo ID
Yeah.
laws, you know, most people can get photo IDs. The people who can't get them are people who are poor, who live in rural areas, who are living in areas where DMVs are not available.
It's not just voter ID laws. It's the type of voter ID they take, because like most of them require driver's licenses, and
Right.
people who don't have driver's license are most likely people who don't have cars, which people who can't afford cars, people of color.
Right. I mean, it's all disproportionate.
Yeah.
Of course, black people own cars. Of course, there's some white people that don't own cars.
Yeah.
But the reality is that they've looked at the demographic data, and by the way, listeners, you can too,
Yeah.
and you can see who is most affected by it. So if you basically, for
People
example,
who don't have voter ID is just another way of saying people of color now.
Exactly.
They've just gone through the statistical and like research loops to go around it.
and there's also a narrative to understand, which is that you need a ID to register.
Yeah.
And they verify your identification.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's a security issue.
No.
The issue is they're asking for specific IDs.
Mhm.
For example, in Texas, you can use a gun permit
Mm.
ID, okay? But you can't use a college ID from a state college.
Huh.
Both those ID cards are both paid for by the state.
Yeah.
They're both state IDs, and they both have the same level of security in those identifications. But college students tend to be Democrats, and gun owners tend not to be.
Yeah.
You know, so this clearly isn't about. It clearly isn't. I mean, we will talk later in the episode about what the actual Republican quotes are, like what they actually think of these laws. But we want to talk about. We mentioned the Supreme Court case, Shelby County versus Holder, Abramovich versus DC, how the Voting Rights Act is basically slowly being chipped away, and people are going to say, "Oh, you must not be." This is why we should mute our phones.
Yeah.
You know, there is, don't be paranoid. You know, I've heard this a lot. Oh, don't be paranoid. You know, this is just America. You know, it no longer needs these regulations on these counties. We've been doing a lot better. Well, literally after Shelby County versus Holder, 2013, there have been almost no laws that were passed to suppress voting. And now, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, there have been more than 250 laws by Republican state legislatures
In less than 10 years.
in less than 10 years that have radically restricted the vote. Now, hold up just right there. We are going to address how voter suppression works. We're going to address what the Republicans think of their voter security, quote unquote, voter security, you know, laws, because they, of course, market it in the guise of the election has been stolen. Again, It's very important.
Dead people voting, double voting,
right.
all that.
The zombie voting or illegal
all
immigrants
that dumb
voting.
shit, yeah.
Again, it's very important that in the 2020 election, where the myth
Yeah, by the way, legal immigrants can get driver's license. It doesn't fucking help.
Right. You know, the idea that the election was stolen in 2020 is so ridiculous that Trump's own Department of Homeland Security quote said it is that the November 3rd election of 2020 was the most secure election in the history of the country, and that there is absolutely no evidence of any voting machine, docket, ballot, or paper being doctored, expunged, eradicated, or removed in any way, shape, or form. So this is a show where we live in the reality of facts. So I'm not even going to try to convince someone
those crazy things
about the crazy things.
Yeah.
If you think the election was stolen, you don't live in the same world of reality that the rest of us people live.
Yeah, no.
And I don't care how preachy that makes me sound. There is literally no evidence to support this claim.
Zero. You're a flat earther in my mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is just you exactly. You believe in a flat Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, so people are looking at this and they're saying, okay, so the voting is being suppressed. If you're in California, you don't feel it as much. Well, that's because it's a liberal bastion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look, California has some of the best liberal policies. I want to go over some of these quotes before we talk about any solution or the law, which by looking at the title of the episode, people already know the law that I'm referring to. But these quotes are quite funny, but also quite shocking. These are quotes by Republicans, by either Republican officials or Republican Party officials who are openly giving the game away.
Oh, this should be fun.
Right. So, forgive my pronunciation, but State Representative Mike Terze, who is the House Majority Leader in Pennsylvania, is a Republican, talking about voter ID, openly says, voter ID is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state of Pennsylvania. Period. Done. Period. End quote. This is in reference to the 2012 election.
Yeah.
I mean, again, he's openly saying that, hey, in these narrow states, they think voter ID is going to bring them home. Why? Why do they think it's going to bring it home? It's because, I wonder. I mean, if you are the guy in the writing room and your ideas for the show are all dog shit, you can either develop better ideas, which requires work, or you can remove the writers from the writing room. This is what the Republican Party has done. It says, hey, we have no popular ideas.
Yeah.
You know, we have no popular ideas. Not a single... First of all, we don't even know what their ideas are. We don't know what their flagship
Mr.
law
McConnell's
is.
on record saying, I'm not going to come up with ideas. I'm just going to tell everyone that the Democrats' ideas are shitty.
No. Right. And when they have ideas, they pull terribly. I mean, they have no ideas other than just repealing shit.
Not well.
Right? Like, that for us, there's mandatory voting, Medicare for all, the reinstatement of Glass-Steagall, ethics laws that will change campaign finance, and of course, the name of the episode, the For the People Act. Right? And so, I mean, I'm going to go through a lot of these quotes, and I'm going to try to slow down and make sure they're as clear as possible, but this is very important to understand that these are Republicans saying this. Here's another one. With regards to the Mitt Romney-Obama election in 2012, Robert Gleason, who is the Pennsylvania Republican Party chair. He is the head of the Republican Party, which, by the way, all the parties are private companies, right? Their job is to get people elected. This is not both sides are like this. But so this is basically the CEO of the Republican Party for Pennsylvania.
King shit on Turd Island, yes.
Exactly. And really talking about being king of the rock, he says openly regarding this election, when he was asked how they fared, and Obama had won. And he said, we probably had a better election. I mean, think about this, he's telling to the interviewer. We cut Obama by 5%, which is big. You know, a lot of people are citing that. He, in reference to Obama, continues to say, he beat McCain by 10% and only beat Romney by 5%. I think probably photo ID helped a bit in that. I repeat, he's literally, when he's asked why Mitt Romney won, he tried to spin it by saying, hey, Mitt Romney did lose, right? Sorry, why Obama won.
Yeah.
And why Romney lost.
But
He
look at
tried to
this.
spin it and say,
Yeah.
hey, McCain lost by 10%.
We
Romney
lost
lost
by
by 5.
We're gaining on them.
And exactly, we're gaining on them. And the reason for that is voter ID.
Yeah, but you're not. You're just reducing the other team.
Exactly. And so, I mean, this is another one. This is from the Representative Glenn Groffman, who is a Republican from Wisconsin, House of Representative, openly saying in 2016, he said, when he was asked, Cruz or Trump, which will fare better in Wisconsin in 2016? Because, of course, the GOP has not won Wisconsin
Yeah, and they had that crazy
since like 88,
and
right?
They had that crazy primary too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so when he was asked, hey, Trump or Cruz, who will fare better back during the primary,
Mhm.
he responded, well, I think that Hillary Clinton is about the weakest candidate that the Democrats have ever put up. And now we have photo ID. And I think photo ID is going to make a little bit of a difference as
God
well.
Damn.
I mean, just straight up saying this shit.
It sounds like Draymond Green going like, we got Kevin Durant now, baby.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
I mean, it's just like, at this point, they might as well just put their cock on the table. Because
I think they're doing that.
I mean, straight up. I mean, and what baffles me is how I'm just a dumb cunt with a fucking laptop.
Yeah.
I found these quotes.
Mhm.
So how is this not getting to people? You know,
That's an excellent question. Why aren't Democrats going, hey, look,
right?
look.
Like why?
Why isn't CNN doing that?
I understand why
isn't
Republicans
fucking-
don't see it.
yeah.
They're in their own echo chamber. We're in our own echo chamber.
But why isn't our echo chamber
But
saying
why
this?
is our echo chamber not saying this?
Yeah.
Like, this should be fucking everywhere.
That
Why?
should be the number one thing where every time voter ID comes up, be like, bullshit, you care about this.
Here's your guns.
Listen, yeah.
Now you're going to say, all right, Glenn Groffman, these are all a bunch of low-level losers.
Mhm.
They're all, this is guys, small-time Pennsylvania's a big fucking state.
It's one of the most important states in every election.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
There's a reason why so much fucking campaign money is spent there.
Right. So if we're going to discredit these, which these are big shot guys, by the
Yeah.
way, here's some more quotes
Mhm.
on basically why the Republican Party is against early voting or expanding access or making voting a national holiday. I mean, you would think, as an American who actually supports democracy, which, by the way, if you looked at the coup attempt by a bunch of white terrorists on January 6th
Mhm.
and you did not vomit or it made your stomach churn, then you were a fucking traitor. If you found that people trying to coup the government and overturn a democratically elected election is not an insult to democracy.
That shit was a 9/11 moment. We were all staring at TV going, what the fuck is happening?
Exactly.
That was a 9/11 moment.
Let me tell you something. I saw 2 flags, and we'll talk about this in a future episode,
Mhm.
but I saw a bunch of Israeli flags, and the one that pissed me off the most was the Confederate flag going up the steps.
Literally, yeah.
It's so interesting to me how in Germany, if you wear a swastika, you're a fucking criminal. You are ostracized by society.
America can learn a lot from the denazification of Germany.
I mean,
think you should take lessons.
To me,
that's
as,
separate episode.
as,
of
a, as
course,
an
but-
Arab, as someone who isn't white, that is the fucking swastika to me. And when I saw it go into the Capitol, it was stomach churning.
Dude, I'm white and I didn't like that shit.
It was stomach churning.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the loser side.
forget
And
the
the
loser side.
traitors.
That's the traitor side.
Yeah.
That's the slavery side.
Yeah, it's literally
That's the
literally
flag people took into battle
saying,
to
no, we want slaves.
we want slaves.
This is the symbol for we want slaves.
They straight
It's the
up
only
went
thing that
into
shit
battle
means.
and said, we want slaves.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle said this, and it fucking baffles my mind. They made it further than the actual Confederate Army. They made it further north.
Yeah.
And so I'm speaking right now to Americans who do not identify with this.
Mhm.
I'm speaking to Americans who actually think that democracy is the proper role of government for America, and that in a democracy, it's best to have as many of the eligible voters vote. And that voter suppression is a moral, political blight that has to be eradicated. That means we should make it as easy and as expansive as possible while maintaining security measures, which we do, which is why Homeland Security said this was the most secure election ever. So
And
the
there's
issue
been
of security,
so many fucking studies on
I don't want to hear
fraud.
about, I don't want to hear about security because it is the most studied, like you said, study after study has proven that you are more likely to be hit by lightning twice and eaten by a shark and win the lottery
Yeah.
than
Same day? Shit.
I don't know. I don't know about the data on that. I mean, it's 0.00008% of it's an
There's
insanely
been no evidence.
Right.
None.
And so, like, This is something that we need to crack down on. This idea. So these are. If you didn't think the Republicans before were big shots, I'm going to give you more quotes. These are guys who are against early voting, expanded access, just basically giving Americans the right to vote. Because as you know, if you're poor, and if you're poor, you're disproportionately more likely to be a person of color.
Mm-hmm.
You have a harder time getting to the polls.
Hard to get off work on a Tuesday.
Yeah. If you're working 3 jobs to support your family, you can't get off work.
Mm-hmm.
Only professional jobs actually have paid leave. I mean, like, there are lots of jobs, like if you are somebody who works in the fields, or if you work as a maid in a hotel, getting
any service industry worker, anything that's on an hourly rate.
Yeah, your paid leave is much more valuable and a lot more rare.
Yeah.
You know, and so
also, if you're like a single mom, which is a huge proportion of
right,
that, you gotta save your fucking sick time for when you're actually sick. Or when your kids are actually sick.
Right. And so this is clearly, you know, can all black people not make it to the poll? Of course not. In fact, black people vote in a higher percentage than white people. The problem is there's way less black people than there are white people, and the places they're being suppressed is where black people are key. And it's not just black people. Latinos are deeply affected by this. Native Americans are deeply affected by this. This is a way to root out people who disagree with you instead of winning them over. And so here's what they say. Okay? I mean, this is interesting to me. But Jim Greer, who is a former Florida GOP chair, so it's the same guy as Glenn Grothman for Pennsylvania. Not Glenn Grothman. As Robert Gleason, who was the party chair for Pennsylvania. He says, they firmly believe that early voting is bad for Republican Party candidates. So I'm quoting him here, and he's responding to other Republican colleagues. He's saying, they firmly believe that early voting is bad for Republican candidates. It's done for one reason and one reason only, he says. Continuing, he says, we've got to cut down on early voting because early voting is not good for us. And then he adds, continuing to say, he says, speaking of his voters, they never came to me to see me and tell me that we had a voter fraud issue. He said fraud issue, but voter is what he's implying.
Mm-hmm.
And then he continues and says, it's all a marketing ploy.
From the mouth of babes.
He's literally saying, hey guys, this whole idea of security issue is bullshit. No one's ever talked to me about it. My own Republican colleagues have never mentioned it to me.
No, why would they?
You know, and by the way, he thinks he's speaking among friends. Like he's not whistleblowing. Right? These are all of them at their most honest moments. Matt Gaetz. Oh, here's another one. State Representative David Ralston from Georgia, Republican, also says, on the issue of higher voter turnout in the 2020 election, when more mail-in ballots were being distributed due to the coronavirus pandemic, he stated, this will definitely drive up turnout. This will be extremely devastating to Republicans and conservatives in Georgia. End quote.
It was. Georgia flipped.
And Georgia flipped and won both Senates.
Mm-hmm.
He's openly saying that when people participate in
in
democracy...
since then.
Right. I mean, it's crazy that Georgia has 2 senators. And they won with barely a few thousand votes. And so, not barely a few thousand, like 40,000 votes, you know? And now, if you suppress 40,000 votes, they might flip them back. I mean, this is...
It just doesn't seem that hard to do.
No, it's not. I mean, it's just... Think about it this way.
He's doing a fairly good job of that.
He's openly saying that voter turnout...
is bad for us.
Is bad for us.
Yeah.
Because we're unpopular.
Yeah.
I mean...
the more people that vote is bad for... That's a huge fucking sign.
I mean, how is this party even seen as legitimate anymore? This is literally just insanity. Like, we as Americans, like, I have conservative friends. Them and I, when we sit down and talk, we're like, what's better for America? What's better for America is a legit system. It's like they play dirty, we play dirty, they play dirty, we play dirty, which, by the way, we don't even play dirty. No, and in the end, the system falls apart. This is no longer legitimate. You know? And so you have Matt Gaetz, which, by the way, you know, shuttling pussy across state lines, did not lose his job. Al Franken makes a joke, has to freaking resign. Yeah, but Matt Gaetz can literally traffic underage girls across state lines, fuck them, and not get in trouble. Because apparently in the world of Me Too, only Democrats are beholden to the law of not sexually assaulting. How about anyone who sexually assaults, regardless of party, fucking goes away?
You're dead.
Fuck you, go away. You know? But of course, we are unilaterally shooting ourselves in the foot, you know? Matt Gaetz says, if we accept this universal mail-out balloting to people who didn't even request ballots, I don't think Republicans will ever win another national election. Donald Trump is saying they had things By the way, I'm not a bad reader. I'm just reading
Yeah,
Donald Trump.
Trump in the written word is crazy.
So retarded.
It's so hard.
And I use the word
my
retarded because he's someone who's, I don't know if he's actually mentally ill or not, but he really just,
I didn't count his chromosomes,
I think he's trying to convince me that he is.
but
I mean,
he sounds like it.
So again, I'm reading this correctly. He says in response to, I have to explain to you what he's saying because it's so confusing. He's talking about opening up and giving access to voting. And he says, quote, "They had things, levels of voting that, if you ever agreed to it, you'd never have a Republican elected in this country again."
So poetic.
The Kafka. The Kafka of the English language.
Vonnegut reincarnated.
Oh my God. I mean, this is straight up the, if all these Republicans were not big shots for you, is your God and deity Donald Trump not?
Yeah.
You know, is Donald Trump?
He's literally a god to them.
Oh,
to some of them.
He's the leader of the cult.
Yeah.
And it leads me to, I mean, I think we've beaten the horse, you know, but I want to end on this. I just need some shy. How do we fix this? Well, we were in power.
For a minute.
We had a very narrow ability to pass things if we got rid of the filibuster. And the law we would have wanted to pass was the For the People Act.
HR1, yeah.
HR1 and S1. For the People Act does all kinds of shit. I'm just going to go down a list. 1, it instantly makes gerrymandering by partisan committees illegal, and that they have to do what a lot of states like California do, which is have an independent commission.
Good shit.
Okay?
Sounds fucking awesome.
2, it bans all kinds of voter purging, arbitrary voter purging. It makes early voting available. It makes mail-in ballot a guaranteed right in every state. It publicly supports the overturning of Citizens United.
I can hear Mitch McConnell crying.
I know. What's it called? I mean, there is so many things. Here's the list. Let me pull the list up. So here, I got it up right here. So what we have is it creates all kinds of provisions for voting rights. It ensures early casting, mail-in votes. It ensures that there are multiple polling places in all locations. It completely reforms campaign finance. It basically creates a public option. It will raise money by prosecuting people who break campaign finance laws, and then it will have this pool of money, and it will give it out to candidates who publicly sign to the Federal Election Commission that they will not take money from corporations, super PACs, mega donors, or foreign donors at all. And their home, regular grassroots donors will be matched by the government 1-6.
Which is phenomenal because you actually give someone an incentive to not take money
like
from.
Me and you can have in our neighborhood, we have like 30 people over in our local neighborhood, and we all want a single candidate, and we could all donate the max, which is I think like $3,000 or $4,000.
Hey.
And then the government will, match that times 6.
All right. Hey, can I borrow $3,000?
Well, I'm not saying us right now because we're dirt poor.
Okay,
you know? But I'm saying, like, if you live in a community, right?
Also, I'm not talking to your neighbor. He looks weird.
My neighbor?
Yeah, your
You know that
neighbor
guy's
looks weird.
rich as hell.
Is he really?
Dude, he dresses like a homeless person. I think he owns like 1 million houses. I don't know. It's a theory. I have no idea. Yeah.
You have to talk to him to figure it out.
I do.
That's not happening.
No, I'm not talking to him. I've known the man for too many years, and I'm not talking to him.
No, we're not talking.
So campaign finance, there's new laws on ethics. It basically creates a permanent ban that if you serve at any federal position at all, you are banned for life from serving on a for-profit board of any company. Yes. It also creates a new number of federal election commissioners to making it an odd number so that no longer could it be gridlocked. Whether it's Republican controlled or Democratic controlled, the federal election commission...
What dumbass made it an even number to begin with?
It was a compromise. Yeah. A compromise of fucking... between sense and nonsense, a compromise is ridiculous.
Yeah, no.
You know?
Nonsense tends to win that one.
So, yeah, the Federal Election Commission will basically be a powerhouse. So, gerrymandering, ethics, expansion of voter rights, and a overturning of... it can't overturn Citizens United, but it will in law declare that the federal government intends to overturn Citizens United. Which means now it's up to the states. For the state legislatures to approve the amendment, right?
I got you.
So you have... This thing will basically comprehensively save American democracy.
Sounds like it.
I mean, this law...
This is shit that was going on earlier in the year.
Right. This law will comprehensively save American democracy. And here's the thing about it. It sounds like magic, right?
A little bit.
I mean, there's so many things that it does. I mean, with regards to voting rights, it's not just, little shit. I mean, it creates automatic voter registration for everyone. It allows early voting, same day registration. So if you forgot to register, you can register that very same day. It prevents voter purging. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It also bans foreigners from lobbying.
Interesting.
Goodbye APAC. Goodbye Chinese government. Goodbye Russian government. Goodbye Gulf countries.
Oh, you're happy about that.
I'm happy about all those. None of those countries should be influencing our elections.
No.
At all.
No.
But
they are.
And, of course, this all sounds like a dream. It sounds like millions and millions of years in the future we'll have this, and no senator ever stood up to this. No. We were 2 senators short. We were 2 senators short.
Oh, yeah, these guys.
These fuckers.
What are their names again?
Manchin, Joe Manchin.
Yeah, Joe Manchin.
And I know you're going to love this name.
What is
Kirsten Sinema.
Ugh. Do you remember, this was like a couple years ago, a party at Trevor's house?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that really, I think we kind of separated for reasons, but there was a really hot ass girl there, like a fucking fine dude. And I started talking to her.
Okay.
And I swear to God, it was going well. And when you start talking to someone, you don't actually ask them their name. You just start talking shit.
Oh, no.
And I asked her name. Do you know what she said?
It's Kirsten.
Yeah. Do you know what I did?
Don't tell me.
I swear to God, verbatim, I went, "Hook," and then I walked away. I turned around and I dry vomited in her face and I walked away because Kirsten is the sonic equivalent of a cunt punt. That's what it is. It is the verbal equivalent of a cunt punt.
I know 2 Kirstens in my life. Do you know what they go by?
What?
Kiki.
They're good people.
They're sweethearts. And they deep down understand
that
if they were called Kirsten,
they're good people.
They're cunts.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Joe Manchin
looks like a more racist gonzo from the Muppets.
Yes.
He also looks like he likes to get pegged, or at least wears a ball gag.
Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema were 2 Democrats who were, of course, they were on the more right side of the party, who basically were in favor of the law but chose not to ban the filibuster or get rid of the filibuster, which, by the way, we'll talk about this in another episode, but it's totally an institution that has upheld slavery and segregation, and was not created in the founding.
No.
It's very important to understand that. And it's also no longer that they have to stand up for hours. They literally just send in an email from their home state and say, we're filibustering. Like, it's not a heroic, it's not Mr. Smith goes to Washington. I'll tell you that much, so you have,
they should do that. I want to see Mitch McConnell up there sweating.
They can't do it.
Shaking out his little shell, little turtle looking fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, the last one I remember is, I think, Rand Paul or something. And he intentionally wanted to do, I mean, filibusters are so rare, actual standing filibusters.
No, but that's like a performative thing.
Right. So Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema opposed it for many reasons. They argued that they didn't want the Republicans, if they opened the floodgates of the filibuster, the Republicans will be able to do stuff when they come into power.
But we kind of just established that if you'd pass this,
they'll lose.
Republicans, by their own admission, won't come to power. Yeah.
Let's just say.
So at the very least, if they want to come to power, maybe they'll change some of their fucking ideas.
Look, I don't think this is.
Because that's what I think would actually happen.
I don't think this is a genuine reason, because I welcome the Republicans getting to govern if they actually win fair elections, which they don't. They suppress the vote. Yeah. And so I welcome that. And I'm not afraid of Republicans governing, to be honest.
No,
I'm not afraid
what's
of
going to
Republicans
happen is
governing.
Republicans won't ever win an election again. They'll just adjust their ideas to reflect the masses.
Exactly.
Which is what politics
should
fucking
do.
Be.
Exactly.
That's the entire point of representative democracy.
Exactly.
You do our shit for us. Yeah. Because we want, that's your job.
Maybe I no longer can call Mexicans rapists when I start a campaign and actually get elected. Yeah. And so
they'll just change their values.
I don't believe in that at all. I also don't believe that I'm not scared of Republicans passing laws. The Republicans don't want to pass laws.
No.
We talked about this in the beginning of the episode, how they've taken over the court system.
Mm-hmm.
They love gridlock. Gridlock protects them politically from bad laws that they were definitely right. Like, remember when they tried to repeal Obamacare? That shit show? It was basically Obamacare light with a bunch of debt. And so they want to be politically protected. So they let the judiciary basically legislate from the bench, which their super ideological conservative benches have been doing. And then they get to hide by saying, the Democrats can't accomplish anything because of gridlock, because of the filibuster. And so I don't think that's it. Honestly, I'm not afraid of the Republicans, governing. If the conservatives actually win elections without suppressing the vote, then they should have the right to govern.
Yeah.
here's what I think Joe Manchin, will end on this. I think Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema sold out the country. They sold out their party. They sold out American democracy because when they were in these unique positions of power where they were getting to say no, they were the kingmakers. In the 50-50 Senate, they were the kingmakers, and they made a fuck ton of money off pharma and off West Virginia. And you were telling me something about West Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia's campaign finance laws basically state that, like, if you don't use all the money for your campaign, you can keep it.
So he straight up just pocketed that.
Or he rolled it over to his next election, did whatever he wanted to do with it. But let's say you incorporate by yourself. You're not Joe Manchin, the individual. You're Joe Manchin, the corporation. Mm-hmm. And let's say you're a senator. You're a fucking business. We kind of already established that. So yeah, solid chance he pocketed some shit.
So yeah, they basically, they're the guys on the Titanic who took all the lifeboats. And
they killed Leo.
And they killed Leo.
Those bitches.
Motherfuckers. You know, but I mean, they really sold out there's no other way. They made a fuck ton of money. They got a whole lot of political power. They sold out the Democratic Party, which overwhelmingly wanted this. They've sold out just America, because Americans overwhelmingly supported the For the People Act. And
they kind of shaked American democracy. And
that would have saved it. That would have been one of the most revolutionary laws. Yeah. And it was I can't emphasize enough how much of a not dream this was. We were 2 senators from our own party short. Mm-hmm. From our own party.
What's the quote? The world ends not with a bang, but with a whimper, or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's the quote. Yeah. But I mean, it really is that. So, I mean, the way we fix this is, unfortunately, we have to win another election with more suppression, win the Senate, which is already affirmative action based towards white rural states, and win the House, and then pass this fucking law. Because if not, no matter what you love, you care about the climate, you care about abortion, you care about guns or education.
Nothing can get done.
Nothing fucking matters. Nothing gets done.
Because otherwise we're going to see the same shit. Passes in the House, doesn't do shit in the Senate.
Right.
Bill dies.
How many laws are on the Senate docket that never even see a vote for? Because they know that it'll get filibustered. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I really end it with this. You know, if you want to stop being fucked in the ass unconsensually. Dry. Without lube.
No lube.
You have 2 options. You can either just accept it and keep getting fucked dry with no lube, or there needs to be a major social, political movement in America in which the Democratic Party and the progressive wing of America focus exclusively on For the People Act on a federal level and on mandatory voting on the state levels. Man voting, For the People Act. These should be the high pinnacle, the flash, the flagship idea of the Democratic Party. And if we cannot make it there, we're screwed. We're screwed because we already lost. We'll talk about this in another episode, but we've already lost the judicial system.
Yeah.
We can only save this country through the vote.
Yeah. And persistence.
They have been fighting for Roe v. Wade for 50 years.
50 years.
You bet your ass we're going to need to get in the trenches and fight for 50 more. And that's all the time we have. This has been Libtards and Shy with Max and Monsoor. Join us again next week for an all-new episode, and please remember to like and subscribe on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Wherever you are and whenever you are, have a good morning, good evening, or good night. What?
Don't wait around till after the credits. There's nothing weird there. A joke from Scott at a Quiznos in 2011. Scott, what's the best part about fucking 21-year-olds?
What?
There's 20 of them.